Imagine driving down a dark two-lane road. A car approaches in the distance, its headlights like two piercing eyes cutting through the night. As the car draws closer, the headlights intensify, morphing into a blinding glare. You squint, instinctively raising your hand to shield your eyes. The oncoming car, bathed in the arrogance of its high beams, roars past, leaving you momentarily disoriented, your vision obscured. This, unfortunately, is not an uncommon experience on the road. The use of high beams, intended to illuminate the road ahead in low-light conditions, has become a point of contention among drivers. While some employ their high beams responsibly, others seem to use them as a weapon, blinding oncoming traffic in a show of aggression or disregard. This aggressive use of high beams not only creates an immediate safety hazard, but also speaks to a larger issue of diminishing road etiquette and a lack of consideration for fellow drivers. The psychology behind this behavior is complex, often stemming from a combination of frustration, impatience, and a sense of anonymity that the car provides. Drivers, cocooned in their vehicles, may feel emboldened to act in ways they wouldn't dream of in face-to-face interactions. The anonymity of the road, coupled with the perceived safety of the car, can create a dangerous illusion of detachment, leading to behaviors that prioritize personal convenience over the safety and well-being of others. Understanding the motivations behind aggressive high beam use is crucial to addressing this issue. By recognizing the psychological factors at play, we can begin to develop strategies for promoting responsible driving habits and fostering a culture of mutual respect on the road. Ultimately, it is through education, awareness, and a conscious effort to prioritize safety that we can create a driving environment where the blinding glare of misused high beams becomes a relic of the past. The aggressive use of high beams often stems from a desire to assert dominance or express frustration. In the anonymity of the car, drivers may feel empowered to engage in behaviors they would never consider in person. The act of blinding another driver with high beams becomes a way of lashing out, a non-verbal signal of displeasure or impatience. This behavior is particularly prevalent in situations where drivers feel their space is being encroached upon, such as when another car is tailgating or driving too slowly in the passing lane. The high beams in this context become a tool for intimidation, a way of pressuring the other driver to change their behavior. This aggressive use of high beams is not only inconsiderate but also dangerous, as it can startle or disorient the other driver, increasing the risk of an accident. Furthermore, the aggressive use of high beams can escalate into a dangerous game of retaliation. A driver who feels blinded by another car's high beams may respond in kind, leading to a back-and-forth exchange that further elevates the risk of an accident. This cycle of aggression, fueled by anonymity and a lack of accountability, highlights the importance of promoting responsible driving habits and fostering a culture of mutual respect on the road. Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach that includes education, enforcement, and a shift in societal attitudes towards driving. Drivers need to be made aware of the dangers of aggressive high beam use and the importance of considering the safety of others on the road. Law enforcement can play a role in deterring this behavior through ticketing and public awareness campaigns. Ultimately, however, creating a safer driving environment requires a collective effort to promote responsible driving habits and prioritize the well-being of all road users. While some drivers deliberately use high beams aggressively, others may do so unintentionally, unaware of the discomfort and danger they are causing. This often stems from a lack of understanding of proper headlight etiquette, or a simple oversight. For instance, some drivers may forget to switch back to low beams after overtaking another vehicle or navigating a poorly lit stretch of road. Others may be driving vehicles with misaligned headlights, unknowingly projecting their high beams onto oncoming traffic. In these cases, the blinding glare is not a result of malice but rather a lack of awareness or a mechanical issue. It is important to remember that not all instances of high beam misuse are intentional, and there is a need for greater education and awareness surrounding proper headlight etiquette. Drivers should be encouraged to familiarize themselves with their vehicle's lighting system and understand when it is appropriate to use high beams. Regular vehicle maintenance, including headlight alignment checks, can help prevent unintentional blinding of other drivers. Furthermore, creating a culture of polite communication on the road can also play a role. If you find yourself momentarily blinded by an oncoming vehicle's high beams, it is important to remain calm, and avoid making any sudden maneuvers. Slow down gradually, focusing on the right-hand edge of the road, and avoid staring directly at the oncoming lights. If possible, flash your high beams briefly to alert the other driver to their error. Remember, maintaining your composure and reacting safely is crucial in such situations. Recognizing the inherent dangers associated with high beam misuse, most jurisdictions have established specific laws and regulations governing their use. These laws typically dictate the distance at which high beams can be used, the conditions under which they are prohibited, and the penalties for violating these regulations. For instance, many states prohibit the use of high beams within 500 feet of an oncoming vehicle, or 300 feet of a vehicle being followed. These regulations are in place to ensure the safety of all road users, recognizing that the misuse of high beams can significantly impair visibility and increase the risk of accidents. Law enforcement agencies often conduct targeted campaigns to enforce these regulations, particularly during nighttime hours when the risk of high beam-related accidents is elevated. These campaigns typically involve increased patrols, checkpoints, and public awareness initiatives to educate drivers about proper headlight etiquette and the legal consequences of violating high beam regulations. Moreover, some jurisdictions have implemented stricter penalties for aggressive or reckless use of high beams, recognizing the potential for such behavior to escalate into road rage incidents. These penalties may include higher fines, license suspension, or even mandatory traffic school attendance. The goal is to deter drivers from using their vehicles as weapons and to promote a culture of responsibility and respect on the road. The existence of these laws and regulations highlights the seriousness with which high beam misuse is viewed. Drivers who disregard these rules are not only jeopardizing the safety of others, but also risking significant legal consequences. It is imperative that all drivers familiarize themselves with the specific high beam laws in their jurisdiction and adhere to them diligently. Driving is inherently a social activity, requiring us to share the road with countless other individuals, each with their own experiences, perspectives, and driving habits. This shared responsibility demands a certain level of courtesy, awareness, and adherence to unwritten rules of the road, a code of conduct that transcends the dictates of traffic laws. This code, often referred to as road etiquette, encompasses a range of behaviors designed to ensure the smooth flow of traffic, and more importantly, the safety of all road users. One crucial aspect of road etiquette involves recognizing the impact our actions have on others. The blinding glare of misused high beams serves as a potent example of how a seemingly small action can have significant consequences for fellow drivers. By carelessly blinding oncoming traffic, we disregard their safety, disrupt their concentration, and potentially trigger a chain reaction of negative consequences. This disregard for the well-being of others runs counter to the principles of shared responsibility and mutual respect that underpin safe and courteous driving. Fostering a culture of road etiquette requires a conscious effort to view driving not merely as a means of transportation, but as a social interaction. It involves empathizing with fellow drivers, anticipating their needs, and adjusting our behavior accordingly. This means being mindful of our headlight usage, ensuring we switch to low beams when appropriate, and avoiding any actions that could potentially startle, distract, or endanger other road users. Ultimately, promoting a culture of road etiquette is about fostering a sense of community among drivers, recognizing that we are all in this together. By prioritizing the well-being of others and adhering to unwritten rules of courtesy, we can create a safer, more enjoyable, and less stressful driving experience for everyone. The issue of high beam misuse, while seemingly straightforward, reflects a deeper challenge within our driving culture. It reveals a tendency towards self-centeredness, a lack of consideration for the well-being of others on the road. The aggressive flash of a high beam, whether intentional or unintentional, becomes a symbol of this disregard, a stark reminder that we often prioritize our convenience over the safety of fellow drivers. Breaking free from this dangerous habit requires a conscious effort to shift our mindset. It demands that we move beyond the confines of our vehicles and recognize the human element inherent in driving. Every vehicle we encounter represents a person, a life, a story as unique and valuable as our own. When we blind an oncoming driver with our high beams, we are not merely inconveniencing a stranger, we are potentially jeopardizing the safety of another human being. This realization should serve as a powerful motivator for change. We must hold ourselves accountable for our actions on the road, recognizing that even seemingly minor infractions can have significant consequences. Let us choose to dim our lights, not just our high beams, but also the metaphorical lights of self-centeredness and disregard for others. By embracing a culture of responsibility, empathy, and mutual respect, we can create a driving environment where the blinding glare of misused high beams becomes a relic of the past. The road, after all, is not a battleground for asserting dominance or venting frustration. It is a shared space, a testament to our interconnectedness, and a platform for demonstrating our capacity for compassion and consideration. Let us choose to make it a safer journey for all.